these runners will press begin, that's when our run will begin. It's almost like that's why the
That
word
is
is there.
surprising. Did not know that.
I know it's shocking technology, even though Chocolat is not playing today.
Oh, shuyaz off to a start. Into the prologue here. Pretty standard. Hopefully we just want to see our players not die. As you can see the bird talk to you there, we have 3 main controls in this game, which is going to be jumping, climbing, and you might not know it yet, but dashing. So those concepts will all be introduced here as we bunny hop along a failing bridge. You're going to see we're going to jump. It saves a couple of frames. All good in the hood.
Yeah, just get that extra few frames per jump out of the way. Might as well.
It's worth the risk of dying in prologue, which every runner in this game has done many times.
And if you have not died in prologue, what kind of machine are you? Or you're not going to the full risks yet.
And we're going to see here, starting the first chapter, Forsaken City. There's a lot of mechanics to talk about revolving around the game's dash, which is the most unique mechanic out of its presence in the 2D platformer genre. And you're going to notice that we're going to have a lot of different combinations of our dash. We can dash and jump. That's called a dash jump. We use these to gain lots of height. You're going to see shuyaz there actually opted not to go for the reverse hyper strat, which is a very cool strat. We'll see if Realtyz tries it. Nah, it's okay though. We'll see more cool strats later on. But other variants of dash includes hyper dashing, which is if you dash down and in a direction, you gain what's called hyper speed, and it looks very fast. You can see shuyaz doing it right there off that platform. Definitely something you'll see a lot of in this run.
Not only does it look fast, it is fast. Because style is of course very important, but we're going to try to speedrun first and foremost.
You'll also notice some wall bounces here from shuyaz. If you have dash speed and you dash up a wall and hit jump, you will quite literally bounce off that wall. It's a very intuitive name.
Yep. It's basically a dash jump, but then off a wall kick instead. And it can also give you some horizontal distance to clear gaps you might have thought it weren't possible, which is actually done already in City a few times. Especially like the 3rd and 4th screen, if memory serves.
See both players finishing with a fairly decent city as we go into Old Site.
And one thing in this game is that with every new chapter they like to introduce new mechanics to you, and Old Site is no exception. We'll be moving to set mechanic very shortly with first a tiny glitch here, where if you skip the cutscene at the correct Y position, you will just be transported to the dream block, and then you can dash up immediately.
Yeah, it's probably one of the only glitches used in the speedrun route, so this game is just lots of intended movement mechanics used in unintended ways to get across these screens.
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to see shuyaz here is introduced to the dream block as Realtyz is just about getting to it, having struggled with that glitch there, but it's going to get in the end. These dream blocks are fairly cool in that you can dash into them, and you will maintain dash momentum through them. Once you are out of them, you will get your dash back, and you're able to jump out of them. You can also do some other things out of them, which we might not see this chapter, but maybe in a later chapter.
Yep. And we're now in the battle line chase sequence where an evil spirit of yourself kind of clones your movement with a 3-second delay. So if there's any moment where you will stall or backtrack back, you might get caught by her and then die. This is, for example, this room actually.
And you're going to see our runners here are trying to hit these things called lock switches. They make a nice doorbell noise once you finish, so if you think someone's at your door. It's just Celeste, but
I've actually had that happen, yeah, where people thought someone was at the door.
But ooh, that's a very bad death for shuyaz there. This is probably the screen in Old Site that you don't want to die on, so
Yeah, any other screen is fine, but this one is just by far the longest.
Oh, and missing that
See,
lock
shuyaz.
switch. You can see Battleline will follow us on a 3-second delay, and she has a lot of clones. It's very intimidating as a new player. Fortunately, though, most of our runners know how to cope.
Yeah, and we're going so fast it doesn't really matter that much. And as it turns out, why are these blocks called dream blocks? Because it was a dream. What?
Yeah, this section is called the Awake section, and it's notorious for very movement intensive, and it has a really cool task strat too.
Yeah. If anyone asks if task thread is RTA viable, it's not viable, so we'll not mention it. It's just, there's such a big difference. So if you haven't seen the task, and especially this Awake strat, I highly recommend you do, just to get your mind blown.
Yep.
See, Realtyz now finishing up on Awake as well.
Ooh. And we're going to be going into Celestial Resort here. We're only about 10-second gap right now, which I mean is expected because these first two chapters are by far the easiest while we go into Chapter 3, which is definitely a difficulty spike. Yeah. Chapter 3 is known as one of the least favorite chapters for speedrunners, mainly because it's very cycle-oriented, and as speedrunners, we love cycles. Yeah.
Love it.
So you're going to see most of these screens that Shuyaz and Realtyz are going to navigate. They're going to be Dust Bunnies, Depression Boys, something. Everyone has a different name for them, really, but...
They kill you, and they are on cycles. But that's the main thing you need to know here.
And what you're going to notice sometimes, if we do see some of our runners hit the bucket and take a death, the cycle for the Dust Bunnies when you enter the room and when you die in the room is completely different. As you're going to see Shuyaz here, he's going for a completely different strat than if he just entered the room.
Yep, it's around a half cycle difference. Figure I sort of discovered recently, but I'll talk a bit about that point when we get to that particular screen. It's in a different chapter, so don't worry.
Also, you're going to see Shuyaz here pick up a key to open a door. That's a very surprising game mechanic.
Technology.
Oh, yes.
And now we're moving into the huge mess section, which consists of a few objects. And with a few, I mean a lot of objects, consisting of books, towels, and boxes. And we will be cleaning this part up in one of the few, if not only, kind of choose your path section in the game.
Right, so there are 3 buttons that our runners have to hit before they're able to progress. So you can technically tackle them in any order, but we're going to tackle them in a certain way so that once we're out of all these small mini sections, we'll be as close to a Shiro as possible, which lets us progress further.
Yep, and the difficulty of these individual sections will also increase as after you hit a few buttons, because the objects are also present in these subsections, and they will disappear together with the main room.
Yeah, and although this section is called Huge Mess for it being a huge mess, it is also a huge mess to navigate through. As you can see, our runners will struggle a little bit here to navigate the center room. Even for the best players, it's very hard to navigate.
Yep. Lots of tight spaces and tight dashes you have to do in order to not lose time.
I don't think we ever touched on the refresh gems or the refresh crystals, but it's pretty intuitive. If you touch them, you will get all your stamina and your dash back.
Shuyaz now moving into towels. We see a little friend here. Don't worry. He gets more screen time later.
Oh, yes.
It's the only, like the first time you're actually forced to interact with Theo, but we skipped the cutscene, so it's whatever. Ooh, nice save there.
Ooh, Shuyaz making that cycle skip. That is a very tight cycle there.
If you're on the death cycle, that's skip's actually really easy, but you want to do it on the entry, of course.
And now that Shuyaz has hit all 3 of the buttons, you're going to see nice navigation to the end with that key as he goes into the closer to the presidential suite. Realtyz here struggling in this the towel section. struggling with that jump dash right there. This is a little bit of a harder strat, but he does nail it on that try. Does look pretty cool.
And shuyaz taking an unfortunate death here in this horizontal section right after the elevator shaft. Some nice wall bounces here as well. And coming up to the quad hyper room. Very nice. Gets through and dies on purpose to retain the key and spawn at the entrance.
I've never seen that. Instead of retrying, he just dies on purpose.
And
It's
just dash
interesting.
into a dash bunny.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. And you're gonna see here, we talked about Oshiro earlier. He's a little bit peppered right now as we try to escape the hotel. There's a little bit of lore behind it or something. I don't know. We went a little bit too fast to cover it, but this is going to be the Oshiro section of Resort. It has a couple of very hard screens, but essentially Oshiro's going to be chasing us, and every so often he's going to lock on to our vertical position and dash at our vertical position, killing anything in its path. And by anything, I mean only Madeline.
Yep. But it's still very completely cycle-based. So it's these screens involve navigating around his cycle as well as the Dust Bunny cycles. And I think he's mad by insulting him in his dirty hotel or something. Just goes into a rage.
Yeah, the lore is that Madeline here wants to help clean up the hotel, and Madeline does not. So, yeah, a little bit of conflict. Ooh, very bad death there. This last room in the Oshiro section is a very notorious screen for being painfully hard, and very punishing to die on.
And painfully long as well.
Mm-hmm. Shuyaz here, making the race interesting, giving Realtyz time to catch up here.
Ooh.
Shuyaz is struggling.
He was on pace for a decent, very decent sub-6 resort here, but
Yeah.
now it's actually close.
And you're gonna see something about Celeste is that there's virtually no downtime in the speedrun. Oh my god.
When you die in the very final Dust Bunny.
So when Shuyaz makes these very punishing mistakes, he has no time to recover. He has to keep going and bounce back, which is why, for the more emotional players, this is definitely kind of a rough speedrun. Oh, Shuyaz almost dying on that last screen again, but finally gets it. But you can see Realtyz is actually caught up here.
They're completely even right now. Both at 11:19 in-game timer, so we got a race. We got a real match. Nah.
Yeah, usually Chapter 3 is the huge separator, but seeing runners even is very exciting.
Yeah, in this case, the chapter was more like a huge... I don't know, we'll skip that.
Going into Golden Ridge, there are going to be a couple of new mechanics. You saw on the first screen the clouds. They'll be back for a little bit more. Essentially, you can jump off of them. The pink clouds, once you jump off of them, they will disappear. And they'll also give you a little bit of a boost and push you up. You'll see the green bubbles, which once you enter them, you can send them in the 8 cardinal directions, and then you get your dash back after you leave them. So it's pretty nice.
Oh, the sync is real.
Yeah,
right
this
now.
is very nice. It's very rare to see runners still even with each other after Chapter 3 again, so.
Yep. And there's also some arrow blocks here that will move along the direction of the said arrow. And a few of the blocks have a lid sticking out of them, and that means you can control the direction of that block. But if you're standing on that part, or holding grab.
Ooh, both runners here going for that spike jump, and Realtyz getting punished for it. That spike jump saves about a second, and it's only worth it if you get it first try, but... And I don't think we ever touched on spike jumps, which is that a mechanic in this game is that the spikes will only kill you if you're colliding with them from the opposite direction. So if you actually if you approach the spikes from behind them, you will never collide with them, and you're actually able to wall jump off that wall. So I think the community really doesn't like the term spike jump because you're not really jumping off the spike, you're jumping off the wall, but it's the best term we have for it. And wow, this sync is really something. Oh, and commentator's curse.
Faster auto-scroller skip there.
Yeah.
A little bit. But yeah, that death was really unfortunate. Ooh, missed the wall bounce again there.
And you're going to see one of the more notorious mechanics of Golden Ridge is going to be the wind, which is notorious for being dreadful to run in and dreadful for stream bit rates. So you're going to see a small quality drop, but that's nothing too bad, pretty standard. For a casual playthrough, most of the time you'll just be walking a lot, struggling to go against the wind's current, which we'll see a lot more of later in about 30 seconds, but our speedrunners really know how to use their dash as well to navigate this wind.
Yeah, Realtyz is struggling a bit with this wind room. There are kind of different strategies you can use here, such as a reverse wave dash or a reverse hyper, or just a normal wave dash, but they all involve getting your dash back. And he didn't always get it, so losing a bit of time there.
Yeah, and shuyaz here, entering the cliff face part. This is where harsh winds are, so you're very limited to your normal movement, and a lot of your movement is just going to be from dashes, but hopefully if we do this right, which shuyaz is struggling just a fair bit, but we'll be dashing so much that you won't even notice that our movement is slowed.
Yep. There's some more cycles to consider here. These snowballs are kind of mini Oshiros that do not announce their arrival, so you have to get used to their timing. And sometimes you could get smacked in the face. shuyaz. Okay, that actually screwed up his strat, I think.
Yeah, you can see you can also bounce off the top of snowballs. It can be used for strats, but it's very precise.
Yeah, if you make one slight mistake, the timing will be off, and then the snowball will be in your way instead. shuyaz moving to the final screen now.
Looking like he's on pace for a sub-4 ridge here. Gonna clean that one out. 356, not terrible in any means at all. And Realtyz should be following just a couple seconds behind here as we go into Mirror Temple.
So he lost a bit of time on Rage, but he's still very close behind him.
Definitely, like, the chapters to look out for are the later chapters. Those are where better players are able to shine through.
Yes, as we move to Mirror Temple, you guessed it, new temple, new level, new mechanics. We have these red bubbles, which are kind of like the green bubbles, but instead they move infinitely until you either hit a wall or dash out of them. And there are also these dash platforms that will move along their path after you dash, and you can actually use those to get great momentum. There's some fancy strats with those.
Yeah, and back there, shuyaz did a small skip, which you'll see Realtyz do as well, where if you wave dash off of that dash platform or reverse hyper, you can actually skip a small part of spikes where you're intended to go get a bubble. Chapter 5 also has the only real skip in the game, search skip, which we'll touch on later.
Normally the bubble that you would have to use to get through here is 2 screens to the left, so it takes some time to get.
Realtyz already with some punishing deaths, but hopefully you'll be able to bounce back here as shuyaz is bouncing to this next screen. This is one of those examples of a screen where you just don't want to die on.
And also it's kind of a tough cycle to beat these spikes.
Yeah, those spinning axes are a little bit of a pain.
Oh, looks like Realtyz is going for a fancy strat here.
Yeah.
Decides against it.
Oh, shuyaz with the retry! Oh, that is very unfortunate. Oh, and he misses the bubble.
That's to fall all the way down. That's so slow.
shuyaz here, making the race interesting. Knows he's ahead, giving Realtyz time to catch up here.
That's sportsmanship.
Now we're gonna see probably the most questionable cutscene if you've never seen this game before, which is you have these nice guys. They're called Seekers. And we're actually playing as one here, as we're gonna kill Madeline.
Yep. We're just gonna give her a hug. I like that more.
Yeah.
But it's a strange but not interesting way to explain the player how these Seekers work.
Right.
They
So
can break a bunch of stuff.
you're gonna see them coming up here in this unraveling section. Mirror Temple, known for not only the escape section we'll see later, but these Seekers here, they are very annoying. They have very good AI. They have a dash of their own. You'll see the little red guys there. And they will track you like a laser pointer, basically. So Shuyaz here has to do some very specific movement to navigate the Seeker in certain ways. In some rooms, he'll actually have the Seekers hit the lock switches for him.
Yep. It's nice that they can actually hit those. Some good Seeker manipulation allows you to save some time. So for example, he tried to hit the Seeker on the head there to set it down, so it would hit a lock switch. And this is the best example.
And this room Shuyaz is on right here is basically one of the rooms of Mirror Temple, where a death on this room is very punishing, and this can easily make or break your Chapter 5.
Yep.
But gets through it quite nicely.
Realtyz is now also moving through these Seeker rooms. Is a screen or 3 behind?
Yeah, this is still pretty close, but we're going to see Shuyaz here coming up on Search Skip. This section of the game is called Search.
Wow.
If you do in that section those spikes, you're supposed to get keys and unlock a bubble to go across those spikes. But if you do a extended reverse jump dash, it really is a lot. But it's actually not too hard to do. You save about 2 minutes over doing it casually. So
Yeah. Well, and that will be 2 minutes if you knew exactly where the keys were and optimized all the routes and all that. So at minimum, it's usually a little more than 2 minutes. But hey, look who's back. It's Theo. But now he's trapped in this crystal, and we have to carry him to the end of the level. So other than the Seeker section, this is the second notorious part of Mirror Temple.
yeah, you're going to notice that there's... Oh, sorry. There's a very interesting property about Theo, which is that you kind of store momentum in the sense that when you pick him up using the climb button, the animation will always play at the same speed, so that if you have dash momentum, you kind of get sent with that dash momentum after you pick him up, because you actually can't dash while you're holding Theo. So you're going to see a lot of like jerky kind of movements, but it's all planned. And there's a nice boost from Shuyaz.
It's a bunch of throw Theo, hyper or dash jump into him, pick him up midair, and keep moving.
Ooh. Yeah, the Seeker just walking right at Shuyaz, nothing he can do.
Yeah, and of course, there's also still Seeker manipulation to consider in these rooms to ensure you don't get bopped by one of them.
Yeah, and movement with Theo is definitely like one of the more unique parts of the speedrun, where it's something you got to put a lot of time, and the best runners in the game are very good at navigating this section.
Yeah. It's a whole different kind of muscle memory you have to get used to.
Wow, Realtyz there. Almost died in that room, but clutching it out just as Shuyaz clutches out the end of Mirror Temple there. Sub 6, definitely nothing to scoff at.
Yeah. I think actually yesterday we had someone retry right before the eye because Theo barely missed it.
Oh, that's the worst.
Still, Realtyz is also looking at a good Mirror Temple pace here. This
Yeah,
is still
definitely.
sub 6 material.
And it's definitely still a very close race. But
Moving into Reflection. We have this feather here,
Oh,
where she has just bonked the wall, but you have omnidirectional movement with these feathers, and if you move less than 13 degrees per frame, you don't slow down at all, so using analog is ever so slightly faster compared to D-pad here.
yeah, and I
Saves
can tell
around
you,
a second or two.
as a keyboard player, this section chapter 6 makes me cry, but
Yeah, and it's also slightly easier to navigate those corners.
Realtyz there, finishing off Mirror Temple. We'll see him catching up in a bit. Also, you'll see these Kevin blocks. They're known as crush blocks, but we call them Kevin blocks for the love of the man who made the beautiful noise that you'll hear coming up shortly. You can dash on any direction that the game gives you. Usually it's 2, sometimes it's 4. And that block will dash in that direction until it hits a wall.
Yep. And you have to wait a bit for that noise since Shu's audio seems to be off right now. So we're on Realtyz audio.
There it is.
You go. And if you want to hear an especially satisfying noise, you need to try it when the Kevin block's underwater.
And you'll see an interesting property that we abuse with these Kevin blocks, just as we did with the dash blocks in the last chapter, where sometimes we can abuse their momentum to give a little speed to ourselves. We'll be hyper dashing off of these Kevin blocks all the time to get that momentum.
Yep. And finally, there's also these pinball bumpers that work exactly like you would expect pinball bumpers to behave. So they can be quite annoying to deal with, especially if you just randomly bonk into one. And there's also some speed strat you can do with these bumpers.
Realtyz actually landed the really nice strat there. Sorry to interrupt, but if you hyper dash off the top of that Kevin, you're able to get that block out of the way before the Kevin block hits it. Looks very cool.
Yeah, it's very tight actually to get. You usually barely don't get it.
Yeah.
Bounces off some invisible block. But yeah, the bumper thing will come up in this screen for some runners, and she has got it. That if
yeah, that's a bumper boost.
Yeah, if you hold away on the frame, you hit the bumper, you actually get a significant boost out of it. You see Sex Rex here. Oh, no. That room can be especially tricky to navigate with the feather. That's actually the room where I noticed the half cycle difference between death and alive, like entry and death.
Yeah, but Realtyz is finishing out that hollow section of chapter 6. You're going to see him coming into this section, which is called Reflection, name of the chapter, and he's going to use some developer skips here. Oh, he's going for the big one. Doesn't go for the third ravine there, but the developers have placed in 3 nice ravines for the fast speedrunners to go through, rather than hitting a bunch of bumpers on our way down. The third one is the most notorious for being very hard and tricky to deal with, so Shuyaz there just doesn't want to deal with it, really. And hopefully we'll see the bad line boost. I think he's setting up for it. Oh, jebaited.
Never mind. Entering the bad line fight. So in chapter 2 we got chased by her, and now in chapter 6 we're gonna chase her down, slap her in the face, get some sense into that chick. Convince her we're gonna climb this mountain. So she'll throw some fireballs and sometimes lasers at you, and this is fully determined on each room, because every room has a set cycle that she will use for her attacks. So you can actually plan out each room.
Also notably has one of the more unique songs in the game, the classic Hey Ya, which we'll hear shortly on Realtyz side, but...
Yep. So what you'll see is that after you hit Badline in the face, you will be sent into the air, but you do get your dash back, so both these runners will just try to move to the ground as fast as they can to hyper back into her. There's 2 rooms with some nice extended hyper strats to beat her to the first laser.
And Realtyz here coming up on the start of the bad line fight. Definitely still like within a minute apart from each other, so this is definitely a race.
Yeah, definitely. And Sushi Heya when.
Chat bullying me.
Yeah.
Just as the runners bully Madeline here. Battleline.
I actually thought Shoes would hit a spike there, but...
Yeah, that looked tight.
Instead. Nice save.
Yeah, you can see some improv speedrunning coming out. A lot of times in Celeste, when runners mess up, there aren't distinct backup strats, so you'll definitely see a lot of panics.
Yeah, and then you'll go to full improv mode and survival mode as well, where taking it just a bit slower is preferred over dying.
Here, Badline tells us how she did us a favor and that we're not a mountain climber. Just trying to help us, but she's not getting us up the summit, so we're gonna whack her a couple of times. I
do agree. The speedrunners, right?
Yeah, this is notably the second half of the fight, even though it isn't really. But during this section, blocks move. That's about it, really.
Somehow gains telekinesis and moves a bunch of stuff around.
Oh, shuyaz really struggling with this screen. Of course, giving Realtyz time to catch up. Finally nails it, yeah. Yeah, these screens can be hard to deal with because the blocks do kind of move erratically, in a sense.
Gets the fast cycle there. A block can be annoying since you want to hyper off a block that stops moving, but the game still gives you some time to use that block's momentum, so you have to wait extra long when grace periods don't work out. And now the final longest room of the fight.
Again, one of those screens.
Extra punishing.
One of those screens where there aren't really fast strats, it's just don't die.
And it's time to level up.
Now at level 2.
Level 2.
Level 2, of course, for 2 dashes. You're gonna see Madeline gets dyes her hair pink. Nice stylistic choice, but that's gonna give her 2 dashes.
Yeah, and especially in the next chapter, these 2 dashes will make rooms look silly, but at the same time the rooms are prepared, since it will be just spikes and pits everywhere, with very few places to catch a breath.
Right, so as we go into the summit, we can do a quick overview of the game where each kind of chapter had their own mechanic. Chapter 1 was the zippers, Chapter 2 the dream blocks, Chapter 3 the dust bunnies, Chapter 4 the bubbles and the wind, Chapter 5 we had the red bubbles and the dash blocks. Chapter 7 we're going to see all that over again, but this time with 2 dashes.
We start in Chapter 6 first, since in Chapter 6 you actually fell down the mountain all the way to the bottom, or even below the bottom, one could say, into reflection. So this is actually the lowest point.
Ernest, they're both getting a decent reflection.
You see any floor?
And going to the 500-meter section, this is based off Forsaken City, of course. You can see all the sippers. Once we get Realtyz there, we'll also hear the nice music.
Yeah, the music is really energizing as it gives you motivation to make the final push.
Oh, the tactical retry coming in.
Yeah, look here, the first recorded usage of a zipper.
Oh shit, Realtyz here, kind of struggling on this first screen. You're gonna see the one thing about Summit is that it is the longest screen or the longest chapter in the game. The best runners finish it at about 9 minutes. Averagely, these runners are looking at 11 to 12 minutes. Yeah. So it's definitely is a test of stamina and mental ability where if you make mistakes, you have to be able to bounce back because you got 8 more minutes of gameplay ahead of you. So
there's also a bunch of strats that save just a little bit of time, but can be very punishing if you die. For example, here in Chapter 2, because with these dream blocks, something we did not mention yet, is that you can actually hyper dash out of them, which is slightly faster than just jumping. But of course, if you misinput it, since it's a tight window, you actually just down diagonal dash into the abyss, and then you die.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see any of these runners going for it, because in my opinion, the only reason why you can dream block, or why you can hyper out of dream blocks is so the better runners can flex on the worst runners, because it is really a minor time save for something that is quite precise.
Yeah. I go for it for style, though.
Same. Ooh, shuyaz with some improv speedrunning.
Improv saving. That was very nice. Neutral wall jump there. Moving into arguably the hardest section of Summit and the game. 1500 meters. A bunch of really tight strats with a few ultra dashes as well. I'm not sure if he's gonna go for the ultras.
We can only hope.
Yeah, that strat's really cool.
Yeah, this room that he's on right now, it's definitely one of those don't die rooms. It's you can beat cycles. It's extremely hard though, and it's a very long room. And coming up is a very hard room. He's going for the ultras. He chains 2, is not able to get on that platform. He's gonna try it again, actually. Second tries the charm. Ooh, doesn't get the preferred strat, but still makes it out of that room quite well. In that room, he goes for 3 ultras. It's a very hard strat to do, so it's very impressive to pull off.
And it reduces the room time from like 10 to 15 seconds down to 5.
Yeah,
and it looks cool, so you get
exactly.
everything. Making it look easy. Ooh. And a theme within Summit is that the final room is always very long and involves these battle line bubbles, where she will toss you up and then give you your dashes back. They can be quite frustrating to navigate.
Shuyaz here, showing that it's frustrating to navigate, really struggling, giving Realtyz time to catch up as he enters the 1,500.
Moving into 2K.
Interesting here, we're actually going to take a hidden route that's usually used for a strawberry, but it's actually faster than the normal room, so, you know.
Misses the strawberry, though.
Wow, that is just disrespect.
And you gotta have at least those 2 strawberries every runner takes.
No pie at the end. It's going to be a very weak pie.
Even weaker than the normal pie.
Yeah. And we're going to see snowballs are back and better than ever, but shuyaz probably isn't too worried about this room. He's probably worried about the next room, where hopefully we'll see an auto-scroller skip. Actually, no, he's getting quite worried. He's perspirating. He's sweating. He's actually going to eat the death there. Fails that extended hyper dash. Is a little bit of a sleeper room where, if you're not paying attention, it definitely can get you, as shuyaz is showing off here, really struggling. Oh, jeez. Realtyz not short of any deaths either, but shuyaz really struggling on this room. What is happening?
These snowballs are getting the better of him.
Yeah. Going for the extended
heat. Bonked again.
Oh, he's gonna get on top of that snowball. We'll see. He might not have the confidence to go for the auto-scroller skip here, but he is set up for it. He's gonna go for it. An extended hyper dash. Very well done. Saves about 5 seconds if he nails the ending.
Which he does. So that's a good confidence booster after the previous room.
Yeah, definitely needed that one.
You have to shake it off and forget about it. Just keep running.
And Realtyz now is probably about 40 seconds behind. We'll definitely see it. It still is definitely anybody's race.
Yep. As long as he nails the snowball room.
Oh, not making the mistake that shuyaz made, but will we see the auto-scroller skip coming out from Realtyz? Oh, he's going for it. Ooh, gets it. Well, there's still the ending, but very well.
That wall bounce is easier than it looks.
It really is, but some people do claim it's hard, so. Shuyaz here, entering 2,500, the Chapter 5 section. Oh, not a good start, but he's going to show us why. It's one of the cooler parts of the game, for Summit at least.
Yep.
Has a couple of cool skips.
And just some crazy momentum overall.
Yeah, definitely he's going to be abusing these dash blocks.
There we go. Coming up to key skip. So you do 2 neutral wall jumps here. If he gets the second, which skips having to get a bubble down below.
There he goes. Not terrible. Most runners usually like to map 2 jump keys to their controller or keyboard to do that trick. But
Yeah, it can be rough to pull off.
Oh, what is Realtyz doing here?
He's taking the bubble.
I have never seen this.
There's a hidden bubble for the heart piece in this section, I think. But you can actually use it to get down here and skip a bunch of rooms.
Wow. We'll see on shuyaz' screen. Is he going to go for door skip? He's going for it. The Madman gets the first one. Going for the second one. Is he going to get it? He's going to get it. Wow.
What a time save.
That saves about 2 years, so...
Yeah. So if Realtyz misses it, we're in for a long run.
Realtyz here, speaking of missing, is kind of missing key skip right now. We'll get it there. And again, the intentional retry, because if you retry, you still keep your keys, so...
And now shuyaz moving into the final section of the run. And of the race, of course, the 3,000 meters. This is the real summit chapter, as you might say. But still, it introduces 2 new things, which both involve wind. And one of which we'll see right now. A downdraft will effectively make your gravity higher and Madeline a bunch heavier. But a good thing we have wall bounces, since those almost completely ignore the wind, allowing you to move fast.
Realtyz here, actually going for door skip. Very elusive technique.
Yeah, it loses you 1 second, but
yeah.
It's very safe.
And Shaq can feel free to count out the flags here. It's a tradition in Celeste speedruns. Maybe not quite on PB pace here, but still hype nonetheless.
Yep. Oh, takes a def on flag 20 there. Has to wait for these crumble blocks to reappear. Just in time.
And yes, Realtyz here entering 2000. This is a very close race. They're a little less than a minute apart, so I wouldn't say it's completely over yet, but it still is close.
And there's especially flag 14 and 13 coming up. 2 of the longest flags in 3000, and both very punishing if you die. Just because this upward wind makes you look so floaty that everything takes a bunch of time to complete. Here's 14.
Whew, that's always makes you hold your breath, especially this flag too, 13.
Ooh. Barely does not clip the spikes there.
Nice.
And makes it.
So don't want to commentate or curse here, but Realtyz is actually having a very nice downdraft section so far. If there was a time for an upset, he definitely wants it right now. He wants this comeback, but shuyaz not giving it to him. Nailing flag 10 here and going on to flag 9.
Just nailing the updraft in general so far. Ooh, gets a haircut there. It's kind of weird how your hair can actually go through a bunch of stuff since your hitbox isn't as tall. But if just one toenail gets clipped, you're done.
shuyaz here on the last screen of the game, skipping that flag actually doesn't mean anything because the screen is a checkpoint, but...
I dare him to skip flag 2.
That is very nail-biting. Oh, Realtyz here. I don't think he got that flag when he died. That's an annoying one to redo. Oh, when he loses stamina. That is a very punishing death. Oh, and shuyaz falling all the way down. Does get that refresh gem in time, though. That is a few moment.
Yeah, you should be fine now. I don't think you
flag
can...
one.
Well, there's a flag 1 death at least.
A pretty early one, so not terrible, but still, you hate to see it.
Now the real question is he going to pull a Revo and retry right before the end?
He's looking good. Skipping the cutscene. shuyaz finishing out here. And Realtyz here. All attention goes to him.
Yep, and congratulations to shuyaz for winning this race. That's another important W he will need in this very close group.
Realtyz here making light work of that flag. Going on to 7.
And if his SRC time is accurate, he might be getting real close to his PB. As this final screen is around a minute worth of your time, and he's exactly 1 minute behind it. Well, apart from his PB.
Realtyz here doesn't want to make a mistake here. Very tense moment this last screen. Not terribly challenging, but definitely one mistake can be very punishing as these flags are quite long. Right now,
Makes it to 2.
41:55, the time to beat for Realtyz. He's looking good. Don't want to say anything. We're gonna hold our breath. Oh, why did I say something? Realtyz, I apologize.
And that one is on Sushi. You can send him an invoice later.
Yeah. Flag 1. He knows he's so close.
That's actually so close.
That
2
is very
seconds.
sad. 2 seconds off his submitted PB, Realtyz. A good performance, but that's gotta sting.
Yeah, definitely. But still, a very, very good race. Very good run from both of these players. And it looks like shuyaz is already in here for some words.
Hi there.
A great job on the run, man. How do you feel about the overall run?
Thank you, but to be totally honest, it was really bad. I mean, a couple of really boneheaded everything levels, games, entire run. I don't know. The last room in resort really stung.
Yeah, I saw that. That was very unfortunate.
And the last one in 1500 meters, that was not great. But you know.
And
I got door skip, so it saves all of those
Valid
mistakes.
run. Saved 9 years. So
I don't know if the race was close, but
yeah, Realtyz, great job on the run, man. You were 2 seconds off your PB, right?
yeah, I think.
I just wanna apologize here. You were at the end of flag 2, just about coming up, and I was just about to saying how it was about to be a PB, right when you hit the bucket there on that spike. So I just want to personally apologize.
That's good. Oh my god.
that was actually so intense at the end, indeed.
Yeah, you guys were very neck and neck. You guys were even out of resort, about 30 seconds off of Ridge, 45 seconds off of Temple, and you were about a minute off going to Summit. It was a very good race. What do you guys have anything to say to each other? Any fighting words? Any GGs?
Good.
No, I just say good match. I mean, I had the stream up on my other screen. It looked very close the entire way. So that's back-to-back races where I've been like a screen apart from my opponent the entire time. It's really tense.
Yeah, it's stressful, isn't it? It's quite a feeling.
Also, both my tempo and reflection was my best time.
Oh, that's awesome. ILPBs?
Nice.
Yeah, it's both ILP.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thanks.
And I guess we're kind of pressed for time here, so I guess one more question. We're going to make sure you guys can follow the runners. Do you guys have any goals, aspirations for this category? Any reason to keep an eye on you guys throughout this tournament?
Trying to win at least one race.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I would say my goal currently is get out of pools. So I think I need like one more win to do that, and then try to get my PB down to like maybe the 36-ish minute range. And
Awesome.
then I'm gonna start messing around with all red berries because that seems like a lot of fun.
Oh, yes, the hot category. But anyways, make sure you follow those runners as they progress. Try to win matches, get out of groups, improve their 90% categories.
Yep.
And yeah, any other last words?
No, thanks to you guys for putting on commentary. I don't know what time it is for you, but it's I had to wake up early for
5
this.
p.m.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
It's very doable.
Thank you for being awake at 5 p.m. then.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
you guys for
appreciate
running.
all of you for putting it on, and Cyclone behind the scenes, who seems to be modding every single race that I've been in.
Guy is a literal legend.
Yeah, he's the unsung MVP here. But that will do it for our broadcast and our race today. But if you want to see more Celeste in your near future, in around 2 hours, there is another race on Speed Gaming 4, which is actually a double race featuring myself. So that should be fun to watch. And after that, like every hour, there's at least one race going on.
Yeah,
on
we
the entire
have
day.
like what 13
So-
races today. It is a lot on your
Insane.
plate. So if you love Celeste, then make sure to check out Speed Gaming throughout the late afternoon, I guess, in my time zone, the American time zone. But
Yep.
the American time zone, just one time zone. But yeah, I guess that's going to conclude this stream. So thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you.
Good job on the runs.
Race, right? Yeah. See ya.